Hello and welcome. I'm Nick
I'm Ian.
from Top Notch Sports, and today we're going to be doing the 2023 NFL Mock Draft for the 32 GM Content Creator Mock Draft that we hosted Saturday, April 15th. Ian, you represent the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm a Raiders fan now. Okay, so you got to sit in the war room of Las Vegas. I got to say, you probably did a better job than Mike Mayock. Better job than Dave Ziegler. Maybe even a better job than Reggie McKenzie. So, what are your opinions, without giving any spoilers away real fast? How do you think you did in the war room?
I went perfectly first three rounds. Did have one auto pick that I wasn't too happy with, but it was a fifth round pick. So I was really happy with how I did. I was stuck around for like the entire draft, did all seven rounds, and went really well.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I think you did a really good job too. You kind of shored up, at least one side of the football for us. But again, we'll get into that in a little bit as soon as we get there. Overall, though, how do you think the experience was during the entire thing? I mean, did it go smoothly from your end? What did you think?
It was smooth up until when your computer crashed, and then it was kind of crazy, but it was well set up. Uh, Most of the pages were good and kind of didn't take too long with their picks,
Absolutely.
and thought it went well.
Yeah. So again, we're gonna try to shore it up for sure next year as well. Real fast, plug your page, and then we're gonna hop into these slides.
I'm at Raiders.legends on Instagram. So go follow.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if you're a Chiefs fan, Chargers fans, Broncos fans. I don't care what team you support. You run a really good page. Go give this guy a follow. Again, it's really nicely ran. And again, I think that you give really good insight. So, all right, that's that. Let's hop into the slides now.
180. 180 set.
You too. All right, let's start with this guy, Josh McDaniels. What's your take on him?
I think people are being a little rough on him, honestly. I mean, first year in Las Vegas didn't go exactly how we wanted, 6-11, but I think a lot of people were mad about that because 2021 they went to the playoffs. And I think that was kind of just a lucky thing. We won a couple of close games. And this year we just lost a close game. So I think he'll do better in 2023 and should definitely get another chance.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I'm not gonna, Josh McDaniels, okay? I'm very mixed opinion on this guy. He is an offensive mastermind. I think this guy can
Mhm.
make nothing turn into something. And I honestly, I mean, me personally, I do believe he held back a little bit last year. That's just me. I don't know what you think about that. I feel like he held back a little bit last year. I feel like this year, with what I believe right now at least is a worse offensive roster, I feel like he's going to honestly open up the playbook more and show us more and be able to compete with a team that doesn't have as much there. I mean, you saw what he did with New England just 2 years ago with Matt Jones. And, I love Matt Jones, but there was really no weapons over there in New England. The Raiders last year had a ton of weapons. He did not open it up. Again, that's my take on the whole situation. I feel like this year he will open it up. I don't know. Him and Derek Carr really didn't get along well together, at least from, my point of view. It didn't seem like he really wanted to let Derek Carr shine, but it is what it is. We're here now. We'll wait and see. But ultimately, let me ask you, what do you think that Josh McDaniels, do you think the same as I do, where he'll be able to open up the offense this year with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback?
I think he'll be a little more comfortable with someone that's been in the system before. Kind of saw with Jarrett Stidham in that 49ers game.
Yep.
It was everything was so smooth and actually almost beat him. It was surprising, but everything was so smooth. The play calling was good. The play designs looked good. So I think he'll be able to open it up a little bit.
I gotta ask you one thing, and then we're gonna get off this topic. All right, I gotta ask you: do you think there's any chance that there's a little bit of a sabotage going on with Derek Carr? Or are you completely against that?
I've heard the conspiracies. Some people in my family are on that train. I don't think anything went on there. He loves Derek Carr. He came here. Part of the reason because of Derek Carr. And the team just really wasn't in a good spot. Carr didn't play super well, kind of average, and he was on a big contract. So I think well, if they were going to sabotage him, they wouldn't have given him the contract last year anyway.
Yep.
So I don't really think that happened. But
yeah, I mean, again, like I said, I absolutely understand your take. I understand some of your family's takes. Again, it's interesting. I'm excited to see what happens. But again, the Derek Carr era is over. Here we go. Let's hop into the slides now. Okay. All right. So first, before we do that, let's look at the grade scale. So we grade 4 categories: your trading, your drafting, your talent, your need. Okay. Trading, if you made any trades, I don't believe you did. Draft, the overall draft from an overall point of view. Did you let guys fall to you? I mean, did you take guys at a good spot? Did you reach on some guys, et cetera, et cetera? Talent, did you get the top tier talent that was available at the time that you chose? And then need, did you take positions of need for the Las Vegas Raiders? With that being mentioned, there's different grades here, and I really want to point this out. Number one, we don't give out a lot of A's, okay? A's for any of these categories are very, very rare. Most GMs fall somewhere in the B categories. Another thing I want to mention here is this. You're going to get a letter grade and a number grade. The number grades are ugly, okay? I want to point this out. A 50 is a C+. In real life, a 50 is an F. Okay. Another example I want to mention here is the B+. B+ in real life is an 88, 89. For us, it's only a 75. So if you get a 75, you knocked it out of the ballpark. But again, that's that. So I just want to make sure, does all that make sense to you there?
Yep.
All right, cool. All right. So now we're going to go and look at the Las Vegas Raiders depth chart. Here they are. Here's the actual depth chart. The guys in green are guys that you guys, well, the team signed in free agency this last offseason. Let me have you break this down. Where do you think the strengths are, the weaknesses are, and where do you think they're going to tackle on Thursday?
I think some of the obvious strengths are all over the offense. It was already a solid receiver core last year. Obviously, had Devontae Adams, brought in Jacoby Myers. Austin Hooper, while he's not quite as big of a name as Darren Waller, I think he can kind of replace him nicely, and he's definitely available more often. Jimmy Garoppolo, in my opinion, is going to be better in Josh McDaniel's system than Carr was. So I think the offense kind of as a whole is a strength. But then you look over the defense, you got edge defenders, nice, but outside of that, Brandon Facyson is not a starting corner. Robert Spillane, not a 3-down linebacker. Darian Butler, not a starting linebacker at all. I think they definitely have work to do on defense. I kind of did that in the draft. And then kind of looking at safeties, that's another weak spot, in my opinion. Epps, a good run defender, was terrible in coverage at free safety with the Eagles last year. And then Merrick really had a sophomore slump, so hopefully he can bounce back, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, again, I agree with you with every single thing you just said. I was decently high last year when we drafted Neil Farrell. He was one of my, I think it was like my 6th ranked defensive tackle. I like that we got him. I also like Parham too.
Yeah.
What were you going to say about Farrell?
I liked him as well. I think he's going to be kind of a long-term starting nose.
For sure. How about Parham?
Yeah, I like him. I think he played well at right guard in the first couple of games, and they kind of moved him over to the left side, and he struggled big time in pass pro. But I think he'll end up going back to right guard and being a long-term guy there for the Raiders.
For sure. And like I said, I agree with you. Like, I liked him coming out of the draft. So Parham, I like, last year's draft class. I mean, I did like Parham, like I said. I like Neil Farrell. So with, limited draft picks, I did like the job that Dave Ziegler and Josh kind of did. You look at the defensive side of the ball too. I like Diablo coming out. I like Trayvon Perry was my number one safety coming out of that year. It was close between him and Javon Holland. I also went Marion one. Josh Jacobs, my number one running back coming out of that year's draft class. So we have some guys I like. Then you got those sleepers that Mayock was be able to grab: Nate Hobbs, Mad Max Crosby, and those guys. So I mean, and Hunter Renfrow, of course. So you look at this roster. I mean, it has some ups and downs. Let me ask you this. In your opinion, biggest weakness is what?
Linebacker.
For sure.
Mhm.
And biggest strength?
I go wide receiver and offensive tackle.
I agree with that. Yeah, Colton Miller's a stud, Jermaine Illuminor. And honestly, we drafted, what was it? Thayer Mumford, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was a fan of his coming out of the draft. We'll wait and see how he does.
Yeah, I was
He didn't look
surprised when he
bad.
fell.
Yeah. Yeah, and he didn't look. Honestly, I was screaming at Jermaine Illuminor. You have to remember the first few games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Jermaine Illuminor had more false starts than I think any player in the National Football League.
Yeah, he was bad, but he picked it up for sure.
Absolutely. So again, though, I like having Thayer Munford as a possible, long-term replacement there. So I do like your offensive side of the room. Let me ask you one thing though, because you did mention linebacker too. Luke Masterson. I did like him when he was on the field. What did you think about him?
He made some plays, but watching him back on film, he was pretty awful in my opinion.
Okay.
Definitely the coverage was definitely lacking. He missed some assignments in the run game, so I'm not a big fan of his. Think he's kind of a guy that's worth keeping on the practice squad for another year, see how he develops. But that's where I'm at with him right now.
All right, sounds good. So, all right, so that's our depth chart. That's what we got. So now let's look at the moves that you made in the mock draft. Here we are. So first things first, you didn't make any trades. So I really respect that because you probably saw how nuts everyone was going in the war room, I guess. Everyone was making trades left and right. You just stuck to your board, you let guys fall to you, and you made it, you made your picks. Do you have any regrets not moving up or moving back at all, or you like what you did?
I did attempt to make a trade, send a player away, certain running back. I'm sure you can guess who.
Go ahead, tell the people.
Josh Jacobs. So
all right.
I was trying to bring in the 30th pick from the Eagles, and I also was. So that's the team that I really got into conversations with, and they kind of pulled out of it at the last second.
Yeah.
So I wish that would have worked out, but elite running back on the team for another year. Don't hate it. So
let me ask you this. What was your idea? I mean, was it during the draft or before the draft this move was going to happen?
We were in negotiations for like a few days leading up to the draft, and then Eagles just declined it officially with like a day left until the draft, I think.
Did your guy reach 30? Do you remember if your guy reached 30 that you might have wanted, or who were some of the guys that you wanted at 30?
I was looking at Michael Mayer, hoping he would fall. I was looking at Kalijah Kancey because I know I'm a lot higher on him than some people. I was hoping he would fall. I don't actually remember where he went, but I remember it's later than I expected. It might have been end of the first round, early second. But I'm happy with my draft, so I'm not too regretful of anything.
Me too. All right, so now we're going to break down each pick you had. So let's start first round, cornerback Devin Witherspoon. What do you see with Witherspoon?
Lockdown corner. I mean, best in the class. I'm a lot higher than him on Daniel Gonzalez. I think Gonzalez, while he is really good, he's a bit overrated, I think. Witherspoon, better in man, better in zone. Fits kind of the size and everything that Patrick Graham, our defensive coordinator, loves. And I think he would be a really good fit here and bring us a superstar corner that we haven't had in a while.
Yeah, I mean, my last move, I had Gonzalez ranked over Witherspoon. Witherspoon was my number 2. My last move right before when I'm going to make my final rankings, I'm making the move. Witherspoon is going to officially be my number 1 cornerback. And no, it has nothing to do with you drafting him, okay? I'm not cheating for you. But I do like Devin Witherspoon. This is an old school Raiders cornerback right here. I believe he may be the hardest hitting player, not even cornerback in the entire draft class. He didn't run a
Mhm.
40. I don't know if he ran one at his pro day, but he didn't run one at the combine. Really good underneath zone corner, can play inside or outside. He can blitz off the edge. He's gonna be a guy that's gonna hype up the sideline. Kind of reminds me. I know again, very mixed emotion about this guy. I'm just saying the hitting ability wise, Jonathan Abram. Jonathan Abram used to hit somebody, and the whole sideline would get hyped up. Devin Witherspoon, with way better coverage ability at the cornerback position, is gonna be able to hit some people and hype up the entire sideline. I love this guy. I think it's a great pick. Finally going to get the Raiders a cornerback. I think this is like the first time we drafted a number one, a cornerback in round one since who? DJ Hayden and Damon Arnett.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know about you, but I was not a fan of the Arnett pick. All right. Next guy, round 2, linebacker Drew Sanders. What do you think there?
My thing in there was he wasn't the best player available, so I was kind of between him and Darnell Washington. But linebacker is a bigger need. Like I said, it's our biggest need maybe. And we don't have a guy like Sanders that's kind of an outside linebacker that can rush the passer and cover. And I think Graham really needs that. So I got him, filled a massive hole, and hoping that'll be another franchise piece on the defense.
Yeah. And Drew Sanders, I'll be honest with you. You said him or Darnell Washington. They're both my number one ranked guys. I mean, I love Kincaid. I love Michael Mayer. But you cannot tell me that Darnell Washington doesn't have everything you can possibly ask for in the tight end. He's huge. He's big. He can block. He can catch. He can do everything. Drew Sanders is my number one linebacker. So either way, you would have went right there. 6'4", 235. He's another guy. I mean, an old school Raider. Gonna, slam you into the ground. Recognizes plays very quick. Flies around the football field. Great reaction speed and great awareness. Absolutely can lay the boom. Great hip power. This is a guy that I feel like, again, the Raiders have lacked a really good linebacker for years. A young guy. I mean, we've had Denzel Perryman, who came in, what was he, around 26, 27 when we brought him in. I liked him. He's done great. But I want to get a rookie guy that we can bring in and develop and be our guy for years. And Drew Sanders, I feel like, could finally be that guy. So, again, really like that pick. Fills in a spot of need. All right, 3rd round. Defensive tackle Moro Ojomo. What'd you see about him?
Really just a wrecking ball on the inside, and the Raiders kind of need that at 3 tech. Kind of addressed nose tackle last year with Neil Farrell, brought in John Jenkins, kind of an unknown player in free agency, but a vet that can defend the run and do all that as a nose tackle. And we still kind of need 3 techs. Don't really have a 3 tech that can stop the run right now. Kind of got Jerry Tillery and Bilal Nichols, and that's it. And they're both pass rushers. So I brought in Ojomo that can kind of be a 3-down defensive tackle at some point for us. I also like Matthew Butler developing behind him, another defensive tackle we got last year.
Yep.
But he may just be a depth piece for his career, which is completely fine. But thought it was important to address that defensive tackle spot. Mm-hmm.
For sure. And again, like I said, because we really don't have that guy yet, that main guy that's going to be. And again, let's get some young pieces. Let's see what we can do. And again, this could be our future guy. All right, safety, Jamie Robinson. What'd you see in him?
Just continuing to build the defense, kind of give us an identity there. Robinson has kind of played a lot of free safety at FSU, played slot, everything, box. He's really just another building block, and I was so happy when he fell. I mean, that was pick 100 in the 3rd round. It's one of the last picks. I was sitting there from pick 73 to 100, just on the edge of my seat, really.
Yeah.
Every pick I thought he was going to go. But I really like him. Actually, on my page, planned on putting out a lot of scouting reports. I only got one out, and that was Jamie Robinson. Just been so busy in this draft season. So, hard hitter, physical guy, small but plays really well, up near the line box, and one of my draft crushes for sure.
Absolutely. And again, you get him. And like I said, and the thing that I respect about your draft was you didn't panic. You didn't trade up. You sat where you were and you had players fall to you. And again, I feel like you almost aced, in my opinion, 97% of these picks. Now, again, I'm only one of the guys that were able to grade this. So again, we'll see what your grade is at the end. But Robinson's a guy, like you said, I have written down in his notes, he can blitz off the edge, play in the box, line up a man, or play deeper zones. He's literally a guy that can do anything. Like you said, nickel, and anything you want this guy to do, he can do. I'm
Mhm.
not, he's one of those guys that's a jack of all trades. I don't know if I would list him as a pure safety, right? This, like you just said, he can
Mhm.
play all over the place. That's what makes this guy special. So again, I had him ranked a little bit lower on my safety rankings, but again, if you want a guy, especially like I said, for the Raiders system with Patrick Graham, that can do a little bit of everything, this is your guy. So again, I really like this
Mhm.
pick. Let's do your next two picks in a row, and then we'll talk about your auto draft pick. Fourth round and fifth round linebacker Dorian Williams, and fifth round Mekhi Blackman. What'd you think of those two guys?
Williams, I was looking for a Mike at that point. Drew Sanders could play a little bit of Mike, definitely did at Arkansas, but I kind of see him as an outside linebacker, pass rush coverage guy on the Raiders. So I went out and got Dorian Williams, one of the most underrated linebackers in the draft. Good in coverage, solid run defender. And kind of a Denzel Perryman replacement, hopefully eventually.
Yeah,
Maybe ends up being kind of a depth piece for now with Robert Spillane in front of him, but I think we're really depleted at kind of linebackers that can cover. So he might have to come in right away, and maybe even with Drew Sanders come in and be our coverage linebacker guys.
absolutely.
And then
How about Mekhi Blackman?
for Blackman, kind of a guy that's going under the radar, and I'm not too sure why. He's going to be a very good outside corner in my opinion. Coming out of USC, I got some guys on Instagram that are big USC fans. Kind of put me on him. But just watching his film, he does so much well, and you know, fifth round need depth at corner, and I went out and got him.
Absolutely. All right, now let's talk about your next pick. So far you filled in all your needs. This pick was auto draft. What do you know about
Mhm.
Daniel Scott? Do you know much about him or no?
Yeah, I did watch his film. I will say that this is the one of the picks I didn't like at all of mine. Didn't like the next pick either, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Um, no, already picked a safety. We did need multiple. I plan on taking one a little bit later in the draft, and I did end up doing that. But um, Scott just not really my guy. I know the Raiders host him for top 30 visit. They're interested. I am not so much.
For sure. And I'll break down a little bit because I actually like Daniel Scott. I thought his film stuck out to me. 6'1", 208, ran a 4.45 40. Pretty fast, pretty physical. I think he can do a little bit of everything. I think he does a good job jumping routes. He can, he always gets a hand on the football, or he can even pick it off. He does a good job blitzing. He can blitz through the A or the B gap. He also plays the jump ball very well. The best thing about this guy, though, in my opinion, was his ability to play in the box, split safety, or even single high. So he's a guy that can do a little bit of everything again. So you want to talk about a versatile player. I think Daniel Scott may be the guy. And again, this is the guy that, we talked about some of the other picks too, and some of these safeties in this draft class, because I don't feel like this year's safety draft class is that good. One of the faster guys, he's 208, number one, 6'1", and runs a 4.45. That may be the fastest 40 time out of all the safeties that I scouted, that ran at the combine. So bigger guy, a little bit quicker, can play all over the place. We'll wait and see. But again, that wasn't one of your picks. So I understand absolutely why, that may not be one of your favorite picks. Next guy, offensive guard Antonio Mafi. Like you said, what's your take on him then too?
UCLA guy, I'm kind of a little bit iffy on him, but um, my co-GM, I was talking to him. He loves him, so I went out and got him kind of for my co-GM. Raiders need guard depth for sure. No one behind Parham and Moody that's really notable. Um, and hopefully Mafi can develop.
Absolutely. And again, like I said, circle that one down. If it doesn't pan out, you fire your coach. No, I'm joking. But seriously, though, I mean, let's say, if this guy turns out to be good, then maybe he gets, more picks than, a late fifth rounder next year. But hey,
Mhm.
it is what it is. So, all right, that's that. Let's sum up these last few guys. Turner, Tune, Owens, Fehoko. What do you think about those final four?
Yeah, I was my last two rounds actually were kind of I thought they were really good. So Turner, I was thinking about taking instead of Ojomo in the third round, I will say.
There you
And
go.
it's kind of a Raider reach right there, but he fell all the way to the sixth. And I was just like, I was surprised. I had to ask him twice, like, "Are you sure he's there?"
Yeah.
Um, and another three tech, um, really good all around player, really underrated, and I think he's he's going to surprise some people in the NFL. And then for Clayton Tune, did sign Brian Hoyer for to be a backup quarterback, but he's old, very old. So kind of brought in a younger guy to help out there and develop behind Jimmy G. Kind of just a late round flyer. And then to the seventh round, Javarius Owens. Not my favorite guy, but come out of Houston. Not my favorite, but not a bad player in coverage. And I think in the seventh round, you kind of take what you can get, and that's what I could get. So, and then William Fihoko. I was super happy with this team. I found need edge depth. The Raiders brought in Jordan Willis. Still need a guy behind Crosby, and Falco would fill that hole perfectly. And another one of my kind of draft crushes right there.
And like I said, you got a lot of these guys late too. So you had
Yeah.
guys fall into your laps. Like I said, for the most part, you got who you wanted. The only thing that I do remember you saying is that a tight end, you might have wanted to get one back end of the
Mhm.
first round if you could have. But again, you look at this is a pretty damn successful draft. All right, so now we're gonna look
Mhm.
at the moves that you made on the depth chart. Here are the moves that you made. Raiders GM moves, the moves that you made, the guys are filled in. Guys in light blue are the guys that you brought into the draft and that you're starting day one. Let me ask you this. How do you think this fills in now with these players?
I think it honestly fills in great. I was kind of I have a separate document with these guys on it too. I was kind of deciding yesterday for a little bit who I wanted to start right away, who I kind of want to keep behind other guys. I mean, four new starters on defense, can't complain at all. Moved Epps over to strong safety because I think he fits well there as a starter. And Jamie Robinson kind of be a free safety, sometimes even come down a nickel, kind of be a hybrid guy for us. Drew Sanders, like I said, outside linebacker, can come down and pass rush sometimes, and going to be one of our cover guys. Hopefully with Dorian Williams, who I have behind Robert Spillane. Spillane can't cover at all, so but I have Spillane ahead of him for first and second down. And then obviously Witherspoon and Hobbs are starting corners. Kind of got that Illinois connection. Good chemistry there. Um, just some physical corners there that'll be locking down the boundaries for a long time.
All right, so here are the moves that you made with this team. Now let's compare that to the real life team real fast so we can compare, back and forward. So let's just flip this back and forth real fast. The moves you made, real life, the moves you made, real life, the moves you made, real life. So some quick changes we say. Ojomo's filling in for Nichols, Sanders filling in for Butler, Robinson's filling in for Epps. Well, actually, Merring, I'm sorry, we're sliding Epps over. And then you're putting Witherspoon for Faison. Overall, really big moves here. Like I said, upgrading every single category. Let me ask you this real fast before we go look at the actual roster and your backups. If these are the moves that they make in real life, last year, the Las Vegas Raiders finished 6-11, finished third in the AFC West. What do you think they finish this year if they make the moves that you made?
So real quick from free agency, I'm kind of like right now in real life, I kind of got them at like 7-10, one game improvement, not too big of a deal. If they make the moves that I made, I can see them going 9-8 probably. Um, some of those rookies on the defense can have to develop as well. I think a lot of them can make an instant impact, but you can't really expect everyone to come in and be perfect. So I think we'll definitely improve as a team. Maybe we can be in the playoff contention near the end of the season. Don't know if it's our year quite yet though.
I think honestly, the moves you made, I think you had a really good draft. I honestly think you kind of hit it right on the head. 9-8 sounds about right for the moves that you made, which is an improvement from last year. And I think again, it's just a really good rookie class if they end up doing the moves that you made. All right, that's that. So again, now let's look at this roster real fast, a real life roster. What do you want them to do come Thursday tomorrow?
Kind of still on the Witherspoon train for in the first round. Jalen Carter, as well as another guy that could be a target in the first round. And there's obviously the rumors about CJ Stroud falling. I think that's very possibly could happen. Hope it does, because that kind of gives the Raiders potentially another option. And with one of the best quarterbacks in the draft, and they kind of need a young guy back there behind Garoppolo.
Yeah.
I think those could be a few guys that I'd be really happy with.
So again, so if your dream scenario is who?
Witherspoon or Carter, I would say.
Okay. And Stroud still, but you still would be happy with Stroud though as well.
Yeah, I would definitely be happy with Stroud. That's kind of just maybe not as talented as Carter or Witherspoon, but obviously the positional value is there at quarterback, and he's going to be a very good one.
Yeah, I think so too. He's my number one coming out this year, so I'd be very happy with that. All right, now we're gonna look at your backups. You want to talk a little bit about these guys?
Yeah, so as you can see, most of them, or the majority of them, are either free agent signings or draft picks. On the O line, obviously, we need depth, but couldn't do everything in one draft. So, back at quarterback, got Clayton Tune. I'm happy with him at QB2. It would kind of be him and Hoyer. I just couldn't quite decide who to do for QB2, but decided to put Tune because that's kind of the guy I drafted. Zamir White at running back, took him last year. I like him. I like the upside. Showed some flashes in his rookie year. I think he could end up being a good back for us, potentially even a Jacobs replacement. I know they're going to extend him, but if it was me, maybe I'd have Zamir White come in and replace him. At receiver, added a few guys in free agency. Cam Sims, DeAndre Carter, Philip Dorsett, kind of revamped that entire room. And Philip Dorsett and DeAndre Carter, I think, can come in and make a positive impact behind Myers and Renfro. OJ Howard, tight end too. I like that. Obviously, wish I could have gotten a guy like Davis Allen maybe and on day 3, but the Bucks kind of reached pretty
Dude
far
took
from
him in the 50th overall pick. Yeah, he wasn't gonna
on it, most unexpected pick of the draft
for sure.
Yeah, on the offensive line needs help in terms of backups. Grasu is not ideal to say the least. Neither is Jordan Meredith. Justin Murray is actually the one guy I kind of like at tackle. Played for the Raiders back in 2018. That horrid year first year with Gruden. But I think he has some potential to be a decent backup for us. Jordan Willis on the defensive side, Billy Fehoko kind of holding down the edges behind Crosby and Chandler Jones. I like that a lot. Defensive tackle, I think Jerry Tillery would actually get a decent amount of snaps, even though I have him as backup. And then John Jenkins, as I said, I think that was an underrated signing.
Yeah.
Backup corner, I got Tyler Hall, kind of not really a backup, but there's 2 corner slots. So I think he'll be our slot corner, and I was really happy with how he played last year. And then on the other side, I would have Duke Shelley for sure, the guy that we signed from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Maybe even have him starting week 1, let Witherspoon sit for a little bit. Because Shelley was a guy that I honestly really wanted in free agency. A really under the radar guy, had I think 12 PBUs and 2 picks last year with the Vikings. Going to be a really good player, really, really underrated guy. So backup safety, has got a couple of guys that are nice in coverage. Do want to add to it in the future, but Javarius Owens, got him in the 7th round. Again, liked his coverage ability for a late round guy. And then Polamalu, got him in UDFA last year, obviously, and in limited snaps was all right in coverage. So kind of the guys I got at safety. Backup linebackers, again, not looking great. Dorian Williams is obviously a pretty ideal guy to have back there for me. But and I hope he can get some. I would hope he would get some coverage snaps in this situation. But then, other than that, Curtis Bolton and Darian Butler, not ideal. Bolton, I would keep on the roster. Actually, both those guys I would keep on the roster for special teams, but not the guys that you really want coming in relief as backup linebackers.
Absolutely. And again, like I said though, but overall, I mean, these guys are backups for a reason. And you got some guys here, like I said, OJ Howard, Thayer Mumford, you
Hmm.
know, Tune is a guy that he can grow underneath, McDaniels and Garoppolo for a few years. Not gonna probably end up ever being the starter, but again, hey, you develop this guy, you never honestly know. And God forbid Garoppolo goes down, which we all know is possible. This is a guy that could definitely possibly go in and fill in. Philip Dorsett, a veteran receiver. You got a lot of guys here. I like the moves that you made. All right, it's a moment of truth. The final grades. Are you ready?
Hmm.
All right. Now listen, again, I want to make this clear. I don't remember what the hell they are. I'm very a fan of your draft. It's between four of us. Commissioner Nutt and Greg actually had nothing to do with it. It's a few other guys I have. So these are the guys. The grades are low. Contact them. No, I'm joking. So, all right, listen. Here's what we got. After every single time I give you a grade, I'll give you a chance to say it's fair or rebut it. And again, 8 games throughout this season or at the end of this season, I'll allow you guys to come back on and we'll reevaluate the grades that we gave you to give you more GM
Hmm.
points. All that makes sense?
Yep.
All right, let's see this. So the first grade was trades, not available. Okay, you didn't make any trades. It's not applicable. It
Yep.
doesn't make sense. So ultimately, see, the issue here is that you're going to ultimately get a little bit of a lower grade in quotes because this ultimately goes to being a C plus as a grade. Okay. If you don't make a
Hmm.
trade, it's a C plus. So everyone that makes trades, for the most part, is going to get around a C plus or maybe a little bit higher because we like to, give them a little bit, a little inflate their grades a little bit. But so just
Hmm.
know that if your overall grade looks a little low, it's because you didn't ultimately make a trade. But again, let's look at the next three. So the next one, draft, the overall draft, B plus. Now, again, I think we could argue that this could be higher. You sat back, you didn't make any moves, and you got really good talent falling to you. Again, you got some guys, like you said, in the sixth round, fifth, sixth round that you thought you might have had to take in the third round. So, what do
Hmm.
you think about this grade? Do you think it's fair, or do you think it should be a little bit higher?
Um, I would put myself, maybe it's a little biased, but maybe A minus.
Yeah,
Obviously not every pick was great and there was the auto pick, but first 3 rounds went pretty perfectly as I've said, and that's kind of the reason why I'm leaning towards more of an A minus, but as you said, it's hard to get there. So I'm fine with the B plus really.
absolutely. Let's go to the next one. Talent's an A minus. I mean, you go out, you grab guys. Now, again, there's not been a single A plus handed out. I don't know if there's ever been an A handed out so far for talent, at least. You got guys, and because it matters too where you're picking. I mean, the 7th overall pick, you're probably going to take a very talented player. You didn't mess it up. You took Witherspoon. But holy crap, you go out and you get Drew Sanders in the 2nd round, who I think is loaded with talent. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
you got guys in most of your rounds that were pretty dang talented all the way throughout. A minus, what do you think? You're one of the few GMs that cracked the A's in any categories. What do you think about that?
I'm proud of myself for that one, but um, yeah, I think that's fair. Got a got a few guys that are really talented: Witherspoon, Sanders, Jomo, and Robinson, as well as Kobe Turner and Viliani Fehoko, a couple of my favorite day 3 guys, and Clayton Tune, backup quarterback. Um, yeah, I'll take that grade.
All right, the next one now is going to be need, and you earned a B plus for need. Okay, again, I could argue that this should be higher too because I feel like you almost acquired every need. I guess maybe I mean the main thoughts behind them was maybe taking a quarterback early, but Stroud, everyone was going. I mean, who the hell were you going to take? Will Levis, and then on top of that, I mean, what else were you, maybe tight end? But to me, I feel like you kind of got most needs that we needed. What do you think about a B plus? I mean, again, that's a very high grade, but again, I mean, they were somewhat selective there.
So Will Levis was actually not off my board at all. He was one of the guys I was considering, but maybe in kind of a trade back scenario.
Yep.
And I didn't really have time for all that. I think personally, I did pretty well addressing the needs. Obviously, coming from a diehard Raiders fan, a couple of diehard Raiders fans were kind of going to know the needs a little bit more. And it's understandable that other people would think their number one need is quarterback, and this guy took until the 6th round to get one. But I think I think I did well addressing the needs. Maybe an A minus, but again, it's hard to get there, so I'll take it.
for sure. All right. So ultimately, here's this now. You're 825 GM points, which is very good. That's going to bring on to next year. You know how to use those then, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that should help you in free agency. Now, the final score, again, this is going to look ugly, is a 71, which ultimately ends up being a B. Now, again, the reason why it's a B and probably not a B plus, I got to go back and look at this, and I got to figure out what I want to do, is because the trades, since you didn't make a trade, is going to pull the grade down a little bit. I got to go back and see what I want to do for everyone that didn't make a trade, because, again, I don't think that should hurt you guys. What I might do is I might go back and give you some extra GM points for everyone that didn't make a trade, so that it balances it out a little bit, especially in free agency. So, all right, that's that. Let's go back on now, Air. I'm going to stop the slides. We're going to go back on. We're going to talk about everything. All right, here we are. We are back. What's your thoughts now on everything? I mean, pretty fair. What are you thinking?
So for the grades, you know, trades are a little bit, like trade grades are a little bit iffy, kind of brought me down, but overall did well. Happy with it. Just hope I can do better in future years. Continue to kind of build the Raiders up to a championship caliber team.
Absolutely. And again, the best part about this whole thing is, all right, yeah, right now, right? Like I said, it did pull your overall grade down, which again, I disagree with that, and it shouldn't. Here's my thing though. You know, you're probably gonna end up being a top 7 GM if I had to guess when it's all said and done. I'll get those grades out tonight. The thing is this, 7 to 10 for sure. I don't think you're gonna fall out of the top 10. You're going to have the last laugh, especially if some of these guys turn out to be really good. And again, like I said, Devin Witherspoon is my number 1 cornerback. Your linebacker, Drew Sanders, my number 1 linebacker. So I had you, really high for a lot of these. But again, I don't want to be the only one here. And like I said, if you had a horrible, I mean, it wasn't, people are going to, say I'm cheating for the Raiders. If you picked freaking, let's say, I don't even know who, Joe Schmo, who I didn't like, you would have got a bad grade. So I didn't cheat it at all. I kept it fair. You took the top guys on my board at most positions, and I really like your draft grade. So, I really like your draft in general. I think your draft grade should be a little bit higher, though. But all right, besides that, let me have you plug your page one more time.
I'm Raiders.legends on Instagram. Go ahead and follow.
Yeah,
almost at 7K.
Yeah, I know. You're doing a phenomenal job. And be sure, if for some reason it doesn't let me, like I said, take your link to your page, put it in the comment section, I'll pin it. If for some reason it doesn't pop up for me, it's because sometimes YouTube automatically bans when you put a link in there. But I would like to put your link there so people know where to get you. All right, that's all from us. Is there anything else that you got?
Just excited to kind of see how my team does this season. Kind of got multiple things to watch, the real life Raiders and then how my team's doing. So it's going to be super fun. Excited to do this in future years, and make sure to tune into Top Notch Sports for all their events. And it was a great time.
Absolutely. Again, I would love to have you back on. You did a great job, and we'll see you guys all soon. Peace. We are Built Better.